What is up, everybody? We're back with another tier list video. The last one did pretty good. I was surprised a lot of people. There was a lot of hate going on, but it doesn't matter because it's all opinionated, and I do like the conversations that we have. And even though not everybody agrees, it is what it is. So we're just gonna hop into this. We're gonna just start with Ultimate Gohan. Now, this is my opinion. Ultimate Gohan, super good. The only problem I don't like about a lot of these characters is they don't like raise their defense. Some of them do. They don't raise their defense. A lot of them don't. So what I like about him is they make it known that he wants to be in slot 2 or 3. Mainly, I like to put him in slot 3. Uh, I think he's a great character for slot 3, and he could build this up. But the problem with him is he needs to super to build this. So on the regular, he'll probably be doing 2 a turn. So you would probably have to do this a few times, you know. I think 4 times will get you to max. So in 2 turns, 2 rotations, we're gonna go to my number 9 is full power Frieza. Now this was actually hard for me. Uh, Maybe some people think he should be higher. Because he full power Frieza, he's just like he does what Frieza is expected to do. He tanks a lot of hits. He starts out with 80% damage reduction for 5 turns. Now, there's a few characters before people start talking shit about, oh, he loses his damage reduction. Well, there's a few characters that do this, and they're really good. And what I like about him is he does raise his defense. He could stack this a few times, and not only that, he starts with 80%, and then he gets this 150 when he does a super. And then not only that, as the first attacker, he gets another 150, which is where he gets his damage reduction from as well, the 80%. So he wants to be in slot 1, but you could also put him in slot 2 or 3 where he gets this. So either way, he still gets his 150 defense with either 50 or 80% damage reduction, and he just does an auto super. At minimum, he's stacking twice. And then all this, this is just conditional. For me, I don't like conditional Pure Saiyan's category enemy, which that's kind of easy to pull off. But for me, I don't like conditional passives, so that's why he is at my number 9. My number 8. My number 8 is going to be Full Power Broly. Full Power Broly again shares the same problem I don't like. Um, he doesn't raise his defense on a super, but he gives himself good defense when attacking, and he could build his 50% damage reduction pretty quick. He could get this in like 1 or 2 turns, easy. And then he stacks this, another 150, and he changes his own ki. The reason why he's not higher is because he's limited to these teams. Planetary Destruction. There's a few characters that obviously you want him on the Broly team. That's where I have him all the time, and that's really why he's just limited to that team. And he does give support, so he could potentially give them uh, a lot of support because this is for every Rainbow Key, and the max is 5. So he could have 100% attack and defense to your allies. And that's really, really like crazy. But only for the extreme. For these guys, they get 50. The Broly team gets 100. If you get all 5, which is extremely rare, another reason why I don't have him higher. And for every 2 Rainbow Key Spheres, he does a super. So if you get 4, he does automatic crits. Yeah, basic Broly shenanigans. He's just solid. He's just really solid. He's just really solid. So that is my number 8. My number 7 is going to be, some people might be surprised by this, Janemba. Listen, I'm gonna be real. Um, Janemba, all he does is evade and guards. Like back in the day, this guy was like crazy broken. He also shares the same problem. He doesn't raise his defense on super. Another problem, he has no damage reduction. So basically, he's just evade or that's it. That's it. If he can't evade, he doesn't do anything. And I think that's a huge letdown. He can get a lot of defense, but he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't do nothing else, and that's basically why I have him number 7. My number 6 is my number 6 is going to be Super Vegito. Uh, Once again, he does not give himself defense. The problem with him that I don't like is that he wants to be in slot 1. Like for this to matter, he needs to be in slot 1, and I think that's just trash. He does got 40% damage reduction non-conditional, and he gives him extra 40% on a normal hit. The problem is if he's in slot 1 and the boss is super in slot 1, he can die pretty easily, especially on turn 1. I don't think he'll die on turn 1, depending on the boss. Don't get it twisted. If it's a newer boss, he's dead. And on like really really tough stages, even on a normal hit, he's probably gonna take damage, even with the 80%. Um, he has to get hit to get this, and it's only to 100%. That's another thing I don't like about him. And this crit, like, I don't care about that. He doesn't really give it, and then it just foils with himself. Like, he gets this when he attacks. Like, if this was like when receiving a hit, this would be good. But this just fumbles with itself. I don't like passives that collude with itself. This is always good. All of this is like extremely, extremely good. Only if you could actually see where the super is coming from. I actually tried fighting him on Vegeta story. Even with me seeing where the super was, he did good, but he needs to build this. And once again, he wants to be in slot 1. He does give he does support, but it's like his stats, I guess it's his stats, man. His stats, even at 100%, 10,000, that's low. If this was like 12,000, maybe he would do way better, but he doesn't. He's just good all around. Like if you're beginning the game and you're running through all the content like brand new fresh, he'll run you through everything. I think he's like really really good. He's just not able to tank 4 million damage supers. So yeah, there's that. My next, we're in the top 5 now, and my number 5 is Texel. Once again, he does not raise his defense. Now the thing about him, like he could be argued to be put higher. He's definitely better than Vegito. I think he's better than everyone else so far. He gives himself 20% damage reduction. And if he's up against a superclass enemy, which this is whatever, he gets another 20%. So he could start with 20 or 40% damage reduction. Um, but that's fine because he makes his own ki. He's a double ki changer, which is really good, and he does not struggle for ki. He gives himself +2 curve rainbow. He does give himself crit, and he gives us a 50% chance of doing an additional super. But the reason why I like him is because for every key sphere obtained, he gets 50% attack and defense. I think that's the main thing about him that I really, really like. For him, like, let's be serious. Like, if you actually play the game, you know that getting 5 rainbow key is like extremely rare. Like, you would have to set up the board like very good. But getting 2 or 3, so on the regular, he would have like 40% damage reduction. I would say is easy for him to get every turn. 40% minimum, I would say, for every turn he would be able to get. He heals. That's a good thing, again. Um, he could potentially give you 20% recovery, which is, it's always good, and he makes his own key, so it's not going to be hard for him to get 7, 8 key. He's healing on the super, and he's going to heal off the key. And his stats can hit pretty high. His defense is 14,000 when he's 100%, which is pretty high. It's just that his defense, he would be higher if he gave himself defense. But yeah, this is not reliable. Like, relying on this, even Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta has this. It's good, but it's good if you make your own rainbow key, you know? He makes his rainbow key, but he needs a lot of rainbow key. Super Gogeta at least stacks, and I know I'm comparing him. It's not really comparing him, but they do share this. They do have this. They both have this. Except for Gogeta is just better in every way. Um, but for a super easy, I think this guy in slot 2 or 3, he goes crazy. As long as he gets the key. That's his problem. He needs a lot of key to have the stats to back up his damage reduction. Like, you can have no defense and have 90% damage reduction, but you'll get clapped because you don't have defense. Like, it has to equate. You have to have some sort of defense for the damage reduction to actually matter, you know? So, yeah, number 5. And my number 4 is Super Gogeta. Super Gogeta, once again, no defense on Super is a shame. He is like almost perfect, in my opinion. Almost perfect. He just he's lacking on the defense. Almost. Like, if he had more defense, he would be good. But he gives himself a lot of stats. He's able to. I'm gonna keep this one short because everyone knows what he does. He's gonna be able to basically get his 30% damage reduction every turn. He'll never be able to go in slot 1. That's just a fact. But in slot 2 and 3, I think he's good. Primarily slot 3, I would say, is really good for him. Because he'll be able to build this defense pretty fast. He's doing 3 supers, so in 2 turns he'll have this fully built up. And it's every attack performed. So even if he gets like super attack sealed, he's still gonna stack this. And I think that's really good. The problem is he's limited. So if he's up against, he's better when he's up against an extreme class enemy, of course. But against a super class, it's like, what is this? What is this? Why couldn't they give him the defense as well on this? Um, yeah. So if this was 77% attack and defense, or 50% attack and defense, or something, instead of it just being on this, I would think he was way better. And if he gave himself defense on this, it would be way better. He's just an all-around solid character. He has no problem doing getting this every turn. Because he gets 1 super for his key or attack. Then he gets his 50%. It's a guaranteed additional, so that's 2. And then if he's the second or third character to receive a key sphere, he does a super automatically. And he gives 40% attack to allies. So pretty good. He's just a solid character. Uh, yes, I do think he's better than Super Vegito because he's just in your face, doing all this stuff real quick. Vegito, Vegito needs to get hit, and yeah, he needs to get hit to do all that. and he wants to be in slot 1. That's the main issue. I think that's just a horrible thing. You have to be stuck in slot 1. This guy, at least slot 2 or 3, like, you just rotate him off. Number 3 is, people are probably going to be mad over this, Beerus. So yeah, Beerus number 3. Once again, they do not give themselves defense on Super. I think that's ridiculous. Beerus can be higher. The problem that I'm having with him is I like characters that automatically get on the field and they're doing what they're supposed to do. He is a tank off rip. He could easily boost this pretty fast. Um, but the problem is like when if he gets hit, like listen, 60% damage reduction is good, but against a hard boss, he can still take damage. So like once again, he could be argued to be put in number 2 or number 1 because of this. But like he's just all around super good. He's giving non-conditional support, which is really good. This is what I don't like about him. It's when attacking he gets this. And then another thing is he's restricted to this category. Movie bosses, are you really running him on movie bosses? Not really. Realm of Gods, I mean you're gonna use him on his own team if anything. And Exploding Rage. Like these 3 teams, like it's not hard for him to get this, but you gotta go out of your way to make this happen. And having this is what makes him truly shine. And for that reason, I can't have him ahead because this is a glaring weakness. So, other than that, if you are dying, if you do happen to fall below this, he'll still have his 30. I mean, you're probably dead if he loses this anyway. If he loses this, he's probably dead. But he's able to do this. I don't know what this great chance of launching a super. Like he doesn't do anything on his super. So doing that, like I don't care about that. He's just a tank in my opinion, to me at least, which he is. And he does the rage. Now the rage is what makes him really, really good. Uh Now he gets this every attack, so he could drop like pretty good attacks. Um and that's basically it. But it gives you a chance to uh it gives you a chance to still win and recoup with him. Like, yes, he just lost his damage reduction. If he's in this, he lost his damage reduction, and that is just it's just horrible. If he has to do that, and he could do it twice, um, but it gives you a chance to recoup your HP and get him back to 60 plus. All around, I could see people arguing that he's better. He could go higher. He got 11k defense at max. He's a good character, very solid. His teams, like, he doesn't really have a lot of teams. Like, what are these teams? Battle of Fate, maybe. Planetary Destruction, on the Movie Boss team. Movie Boss. Like, these teams suck. A lot. Well, they don't suck, but they're not commonly used. Successors, you can use them on on Vegeta's team. He's a good character. He's limited, though. You have to use him with specific characters in one of these categories. Which isn't hard, but he's restricted to those characters, which are probably only on movie bosses or planetary destruction. Usually, a lot of the characters that are on one of these categories are on Exploding Rage, probably Broly team, and his linking partners absolutely suck. Let's take a look real quick. Yeah, yep, absolutely horrible. But yeah, he's just a really good tank. I think he is better than Beerus only because he gives himself defense, which is always good. He gives himself more defense. That's the first thing I like to see. He gives himself a defense here, 258%, which is actually pretty high. He double orb changes, which is really good. Uh, he gives which you're never using him on an extreme team, so he gives attack and defense 40%, which is very good. And then if he's up against an extreme class enemy, he gets this 40% chance of dodging. If you're an int character, you automatically have 5 into your build at 55%, because he's an int character. And then obviously you don't want him in slot 1, but in slot 2 or 3, he gets this more defense, which is very good. And then for every key sphere obtained, he gets 50%. So he acts as like he's just doing one big hit every turn. And he gets this right here, which is really why I like him. With 3 or more key spheres, that is so easy to get. 50% damage reduction and 50% chance of doing a critical hit. I think this is what makes him good. Now, remember, Beerus has 60%, but he has to be above a certain threshold of HP. This is not conditional besides the key. It is a little lower, but I would take that along with this defense that he gets off the rip. He gets this automatically when he attacks, and then he gets defense on his supers. So all that together like sells me for him being number 2. Not only that is I kind of treat this like an active skill. If you're 58% or less, like Beerus has the rage. Beerus has his rage, but this I treat it like an active skill. He's gonna get the 30% damage reduction, and he changes everything to int once only. And to me, when this happens, it means full HP. Like he's gonna recover most of the HP. Your bar is gonna go from 40% all the way up to like 90 or 100%, and then he gets 80% damage reduction. So on that turn, you put him in slot 1 if you want. Which obviously you're gonna have to because he needs the int orbs. But you put him in slot 1, and he's gonna do that super mega one hit right here. Which this is so rare. This is like I feel like 15 or more, he should get more defense. Like this should be like 200% in my opinion. Uh, so yeah, long story short, he's very good. He's an LR, so obviously his defense is a little higher, and he's just all around really, really good. I use him all the time. Is he top tier? For a Super EZA, yes. Can he get bopped? Yes. Everyone on this list can get bopped, eventually to somebody. But all around, he's a solid character. Slot 2 or 3, he's doing good. If he's up, he can get this. He's just very, very, very solid. And the reason why he's higher than Beerus is because he just gets everything immediately. All his defense he gets immediately. You know what you're getting. The 50% damage reduction immediately when you get 3 key. And then he gets this if you're about to lose. Which I think that is like really good. He recovers. You see, Beerus doesn't recover HP. He does because of this. And then he gets more damage reduction. So yeah, that's why he is my number 2. To no surprise. No, maybe some people will say, "Oh, I think Gohan is better." To be honest, Gohan might be better because this guy now he gets this. This is why like Gohan doesn't get that. He gets 258 defense, no attack. Um and then he gets another 200 here. Gohan gets 158. So he gets a 258 and then a 158, which obviously adds up to more than this. But this guy also changes tech to Rainbow, which that's cool. He recovers 15% HP, so he's also a healer. One of the major issues with him is he doesn't give himself defense. Um, and this is another thing I don't like about him. Starting from the 5th turn of battle, he starts changing his ki. He, this is kind of like, this kind of like messes it up for me. But at the same time, for every ki sphere he gets 12,000 HP, which is a lot. And he gets attack 40% and defense 30%. He could ultimately get a lot of ki. He could ultimately get a lot of ki. If, like, let's say, for example, like, just spitballing, that Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, his last part of his passive goes off. This guy is gonna get a monstrous boost if he's on that rotation. Because you could just give him this. Now, the problem with this idea is, yeah, he'll get defense, but he loses this. He needs Rainbow Ki to get this. That's a major issue that I see with this guy. Sometimes you, like, listen, getting 2 or 3 is kind of easy, but there are times where you cannot get this. So, obviously, at a time that you can't get this, you don't want him in slot 1. In fact, on a harder boss, he would probably still die because his defense is low. Um, for every ki, he gets up to 66% damage reduction. Very good. Uh, it has to be rainbow though. That's the problem. And then he's limited in this way. Against super, he gets attack and defense. Against extreme class, he gets this no matter what. I think he's just all around like really really good balance. He's a good healer. I'm not gonna say that he's like a slot 1 character like Beerus. Uh, but at the same time, he could do it if he got a lot of ki. Only if he gets a lot of ki. And then on top of that, like, in my opinion, he's the best. He's just more complete and he heals. Like, he does it all. He does an extra super, he does a lot of damage, he recovers, damage reduction, uh supports. He does supporting, but he doesn't give defense. So yeah, I could see people saying that Gohan's probably better than him. But all around, like, another thing is, like, he's limited to extreme teams, and you're probably gonna use him on Majin Buu Saga. That's the main one you're gonna use him on. And artificial life forms, Majin Power, like, Majin Power is basically the same thing as Majin Buu Saga for him. Power absorption, like, he's gonna be a star player on each of his teams, and that's why I think he is the best Super EZA, because out of all of them, he is one of the best characters in each of these categories in general. He's probably he's one of the best in power absorption, one of the best in Majin Buu Saga, one of the best in Majin Power, one of the best in artificial life forms. He's very, very extremely good. And he's on Sworn Enemies too. And then he's on Demonic Power. Like, he's on good teams. So this is why he is my number 1. He's very versatile in that aspect. And I do run him on Kamehameha. On Super, because sometimes I do Super and Extreme mixed. So yeah, that's my top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't know when I'm gonna do the next one. It depends if the next EZA is actually super crazy. Then I will change this. But for now, this is it. Everyone, have a good day. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.